Okay. Hi. Hi.
Oh, good. Tybalt made it inside.
Hopefully along with the chat.
Hello, campers. How are you? I wanted to tell all of you that I am really enjoying when your pictures get put on to our Facebook group. It makes me so happy to see all of the stuff that you're doing. And I love the dog videos and pictures where you're actually playing with your puppies. That was great.
I'll be right there.
Make co-host.
Mute for a sec.
Make co-host.
No, but I accidentally logged in count.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, good. You're
I'm sorry, sweetheart. It's not coming
on
through.
Zoom.
Shamrock, are we starting with the sewing or the let's do the or the upload of the cornhole game? Shamrock, wherever you are, you're muted. Ask to unmute.
Of course I was. Okay, yes, we're gonna start off with the cornhole first. And my expectation of this, campers, is that we are going to build one of the two the cornholes together, and that you could build the other one later independently because you will have done one with us. And then that way we can get to making bean bags. And also another expectation for the bean bags is I do not expect us to finish more than one. Even if you don't get one finished, I just want to make sure we get them started with you. There's 6 bean bags available in each of your kits. So don't feel that you're supposed to finish all of them right now. That would be a lot of work. So we're just learning how to put one of these together and one of these together. And I could teach like this if you'd like, but that might be distracting. And let me know, leaders, when you want to get this party started.
I just have one question. Is the person that's logged in as Christine, is that actually Star? If you could change your name, whoever is listed as Christine.
It's the laptop that I'm using.
Oh,
I'm just trying to figure something out. I'm gonna log out of it.
great. It's one of nobody's or everybody's children usually. So that's
It'd be
cool.
weird if Star was in.
Right. All right. All right. So Shamrock, should I queue up the video?
Yes, the cornhole one, please. And you don't have a whole lot of wood left in your kit. So if you have any wood in your kit, it's probably for this project.
Okay, everybody and Dixie, I can't watch the chat room or the other stuff right now. So if you can manage for that.
I got the chat room.
Someone else, everybody, can you manage the mute button?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Shamrock, I'm ready when you are.
All right, go ahead.
Let's
All right,
hammer.
campers, we are on our very last couple of sets of projects. Right now, we are going to make a cornhole set, and then we are going to do some beanbag sewing after that. So for this project, you're going to need your 2 pieces of plywood as well as 2 pieces of pine. These should be the last pieces of wood you have in your kit. So please note that on this piece of pine, that you are going to have a bit of an angle cut on the top. Let's see if I can get in the picture. It's hard to see on here, but one side is flat and the other side has a bit of an angle cut into it. So that angular side is going to go up.
All right, and there's a picture of the view
For
of the
this
angle.
project, you're also going to need some of your sandpaper, and the one I'm using is 120 grit.
And really quick,
You will
is
need some
the
nails from
in
your
the
nail
brown
pouch.
bag?
This is the same.
Yes, it's showing the little brown bag that we used before, right
Perfect.
here. And you're going to have a lot of nails left over, so figure out at your house, maybe there's another project that you could do, but there's extras. All right, and we're ready when you're ready.
Same pouch that we used when we made our Jacob's ladder. Once again, we're going to use our little piece of paper board from a cereal box. If you threw it away, don't worry about it. Just go to your recycling bin. If you have any sort of safety glasses, I would like for you to wear them. If you are outside, a pair of sunglasses will work in a pinch. The last thing you're going to need to make the cornhole set is your hammer. In the last video for Jacob's Ladder, when we use this, we talked about hammer safety. So I'm just going to remind you that this is a tool and not a toy, and to be cautious with it and make sure you put it away when you're done. Please also make sure that you're wearing closed-toe shoes for safety, and keep track of how many nails you are in control of. Right now I have 14 nails in my little bowl. All right, as I said a minute ago, we have a flat side of your pine board and a slanted side. You're going to put the slanted side on the top, and the tallest part of the slant will be at the very back of it. First thing we're going to do, though,
Okay, hey,
is
nobody, can
we
we
are
pause for a
going
second?
to start off some nails.
All right, leaders, if you could just check with your scouts to see if all the humans are at the point that they are ready to go.
So Giggles, if you need more time, put a thumb sideways. Looks like we have one
Looks-
sideways.
Bridge needs more.
Maybe just another 30 seconds.
Okay. I know that was a lot with just getting all the setup information, so I wanted to give a pause for people to get organized.
I don't see the flag.
Oh, you see my little shamrock flag?
Yeah.
Yep. One little thing I'm going to tell you, and I know that it's going to be spoken about during the video as well, is when we first start to hammer the nails in, I don't want you to hammer them all the way through. We're just gonna, when I show you putting the nails on 5 different spots, I'm just gonna lightly hammer them in just enough so that they're standing up and a little bit stuck. But we don't want to drive them all the way through. Make sure you're working in a spot too where don't work on your parents' nice dining table. Maybe if you don't have a surface you can work on, the floor might be your best option. So, and Dixie, when they're ready, let us know.
Thumbs up if you're ready. I think
Thumbs up from Stuffy Marshmallow.
Yep, I think we're good. I'm not seeing any thumbs down, so why don't we carry on?
Excellent.
So what I did is I took a pencil, and you can take one of your pencils that you have with you, and we are going to very lightly draw a line.
And sorry, I forgot to tell you.
And don't make it too dark. It just needs to be a little bit of a line. Just in, you're gonna put your pine board all the way at the top to meet with the very top edge along here. And just lightly drag your pencil. And then you will have a very fine line that goes across. That way we know on this side of the line we'll actually hit some pine. On this side of the line we will not. Before we start nailing, we can give our board a little bit of a sand on the edges where it was cut. It might have some splinters, and on the middle section as well. So we're going to give this a very quick sand. So basically what I'm looking for is a board that is not going to splinter me. All right, now that that is
And
done,
nobody, why don't you pause there?
we're going to take our nail.
And then that way we can have, when campers, when you have a little thin line drawn, and then get some of your sanding done on one of your boards. Remember, we're only working on half the set this morning. You can do the other half independently later. Give your leaders a thumbs up that you're ready to move on.
We have a thumbs up
Where-
from
Where?
everybody.
Mm,
Thumbs up from Dill.
where?
Does somebody have a question? Oh, we have a thumbs up from Marshmallow.
I just.
Abby.
Where?
We have a
where-
question. Stuffy Marshmallow has a question.
Okay.
Where do we put the pencil mark?
Everybody, if or nobody, if you could go back just a little bit. So Stuffy
Here, we made ours
Marshmallow-
dark so you could see.
Yeah.
So it's just the piece of the board. And we marked the pencil mark as how big that piece of board was when it's lined up with
Stuffy Marshmallow,
the top
can you
and the
see?
sides.
Can you see everybody's feed, Stuffy Marshmallow?
No.
Could we spotlight
There you go.
everybody for a minute?
Where's
So we took the
everybody?
board
There we go.
Yeah, no, I saw.
and we lined it all up and then drew the pencil mark.
That's perfect. Nicely done, everybody.
Well, it was Steve Bone. I just grabbed it.
Nicely done, Steve Bone.
Thanks. Take Weedsy.
Did that get you what you needed, Stuffy Marshmallow?
All right.
Shamrock, in missing and trying to rewind, I forgot to record where we stopped. So
We were just at the point where I put the sandpaper. That's where we were at. I was
Right here?
grabbing the first nail a little bit further back, not much, just a teensy tiny. That's pretty good.
great, thank you. So I'll start now.
Yes.
All right, now that that is done, we're going to take our nail strip. I'm going to poke a hole through it with my nail. And I'm not going to put the pine behind it yet. what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off about right in the middle, and I'm also going to be between the line and the edge. I am going to
Pause for a
take
second.
my very first nail.
So what I mean by that, and if you could spotlight me for a moment, please. Because I don't feel like my direction was as clear as it could have been. Can you see that okay? Or do I
Yeah.
need to get in the light? So my line, my pencil line is about as thick as my finger. So I started off with the first hole in the middle going this way. So right here, but I was also in the middle between the pencil line. So see where my finger is cutting it off? I'm the middle this way, and I was also the middle this way, so my nail was right there. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me.
Okay,
Can I
awesome.
have a thumbs up if that makes sense to you? I hear some shake, I see some nodding heads and some thumbs up. So we're
Also, when we go to put our board on, we're just gonna wanna have the pine centered between the plywood. If my pine doesn't make it all the way to the end, so that it's not gonna be perfect, but it will hold your project up. Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
I don't know what to do at all.
Okay, Stuffy Marshmallow, if you don't know what to do at all, this is a very short video. So let's just hang out and watch what it is, and then you can learn, you can learn by watching and then learn by doing after when you have a chance to pause your own video.
Now, and I am going to get it started. Remember, campers, that you want to be working on a protected surface, so make sure you're not gonna ruin your family dining table. All right, so I'm holding this down and I'm just going to go in a little bit. And I am doing what's called setting actually, I don't know if this is the part that's setting it. I'm just kind of getting it in place so that it'll be easier. So when I have them all in there, that we can land them. I'm actually going to try to do this without my nail strip. I'm going to go close to the edge on one side. Once again, in the middle between my pencil line and the edge. And I'm going to straighten it out as I go. And I did not go all the way in on that one either. I'm going to do another one on this edge. And actually, it goes pretty easily into this board if you push with your fingers. Once again, I'm not popping through the board. You can, here, where can we see the 3 nails? So I have 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to do 2 more, one in the middle of each one of these. Last one. And as I'm trying to get these just tacked in here, in an effort to not hurt my fingers, I'm going very lightly. Okay. Now we are going to put our slanted side up, and the taller part is going to be towards the outside of our project. All right, let me get some stuff out of the way.
Nobody, if you could pause for a second and just light my video, and I'm going to just show them again on here. So the taller part is on the back side where the edge of your board is, because you want it to slant downwards. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I can't tell if we're supposed to put. Hold on. I can't tell if we're supposed to put this under.
So when you have your nails are going to be sticking up like this. All right, so pretend my finger's a nail. Whoops.
Yeah.
So the nails are going to be sticking out. You're going to place your plywood board. You're going to sit it right on top of your piece of pine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit the nails down into the board, and it's going to nail the top piece to the bottom. Does that make sense?
Shamrock, I'm going to spotlight everybody's video really quick.
Thank you. All right.
So everybody, can you turn it to its side?
There you go. See how the nails aren't all the way through? And then that way they can put it on top of their pine board. And then they're going to hit the nails all the way through. Nice pretzeling. You made that happen really well.
All right. And then I think we have some excitement because I think some campers have finished theirs and were showing it to us. But
Oh, very cool.
I think it's Hope and Beaker. Was that you, Hope and Beaker? Or
It's heavy.
Yeah, that was us.
can you show it again?
What a fox say.
Oh, they look
Ooh.
great.
Look at
Nicely
that.
done.
So great. We have just a few more minutes of this video and then we'll move on to the sewing. All right. Shamrock, are you ready for me to go back to sharing the screen?
Yes, and I think at this point we should just play it the rest of the way through.
Okay, great.
I have a. Okay,
Let-
I know.
Let's hold questions for a minute and then maybe they'll be answered in the video. And if they're not, we can answer them after the video.
Now I'm going to line these two up. And make sure my plywood is centered between each edge of the pine. So I know my middle nail is pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and land that one. It went a little crooked. That's okay. I can fix that in a minute. And straighten them out if they're going crooked on you before you land them. And I'm just gonna bury that one in there because I think it'll be just fine. All right, and there we go, campers. That's your first side. So now you're going to repeat the process with your other piece of plywood and your other piece of pine. When you are done with this project, feel free to use your Sharpies or to use some of your paints to decorate this. You could put just designs on it, or you could do a sports logo, or you could put your name on the set. And remember, when you're planning things out, it's best to start with a pencil, because if you do a pencil and you don't like it, you could either use an eraser or you could lightly sand the pencil marks off. All right, thank you, campers.
Okay.
We did have a question, Shamrock, of where is the beanbag stuff? What bag is the beanbag materials in?
The beanbag materials are, so the small parts bag will have the cloth strips, and you'll have two different types of fabric. So one team can have one and the other team can have the other. In the small parts bag, you will also have your spool of thread, as well as your envelope that says sewing on it. And on the inside of this, you'll have a card. Whoops, one of my pins is coming out and falling. And on that card, there are 4 common pins that have colorful heads to, to help you keep track of them. And then there's 2 sewing needles. So what I suggest is when you're not using these pins and needles, you put them back in the card and put the card in the envelope. That way you can keep track of them and keep using them, and it's safer. And then also, I almost forgot the beans. You have a paper bag that has your pinto beans in it, and then we'll need this as well. When we are ready to go, with the very least the needle, thread, and your cloth in front of you, I want you to give your leaders a thumbs up. And the bean bags are going to look roughly like this when we're done.
I'm not seeing any thumbs up yet. Let us know, campers.
Oh, and one more thing that we need, campers, is hopefully you all have a pair of scissors at your house that you used the other day for a few things. So we're going to need some scissors to cut your thread. And clear your work area, move all your cornhole stuff to the side. Just that way it'll be easier for you to get your work done if you have a clearer workspace.
Just got a note from everybody and Steve Bone. They have to move inside because the wind is blowing rain on them.
Oh, goodness.
They live about 4 miles south of me. I just had to run outside and tie my canopy to my deck so it didn't blow away.
I almost had to run in during our 10 o'clock meeting for the same reason, because it was windy.
Welcome to August in Washington.
Okay.
All right, Shamrock, I have the next video queued up. Would you like me
Excellent.
to go use that?
Yes, because the first bit is just going over the supplies that we just talked about, so we could get through that part.
Great.
Thank you. And we should probably play it straight through to when we get to the first moving part, I think.
Great.
Or maybe the folding. I don't know. I'll let you know. Oops. Hey,
Was it a little too fast?
well, what's weird about it is it's getting on my screen, it's going in and out so that
Yeah,
the
that's
writing
something
disappears.
it did automatically.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So sewing bean bags. And then
There's your small parts envelope that this is on the top left to the little bag. And then the arrow goes to the right. You have your little sewing needle envelope on the right with a spool of thread, 6 pieces of fabric, and your paper bag full of beans. On the left bottom picture, that shows what is in your pins and needles envelope, and you need a pair of scissors. Okay, we can go to the next one. That's weird because I didn't put any animation things on there that I knew of.
I'm pretty sure it's what iMovie did by itself.
Oh, all right. So your material has a right side and a wrong side to it. Not a left and a right, but a right side and a wrong side. Your right side's going to be the very colorful printed side. The wrong side is the dull side. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called finger pressing. So if you see in this picture, I have the material going the long way. So landscape view, I guess. This would be portrait and that's landscape. So I folded up the very bottom, not a lot, just probably about 1/4 of an inch. And I folded it, and I'm going to show you in my video here. And then you're going to basically crease it like you would a piece of paper. You can use your thumb and your fingernails. And then what happens is you basically wrinkle it in a straight line. And next slide. And I'll have a video that shows how to do that.
Great. And I just wanted to bring your attention to the time is that we have a 20-minute video and about a half an hour left.
Okay, so we might just need to go through this and answer questions, and then people can sew these on their own time.
Okay.
we folded over this long edge, finger pressed it, then proceeded with the two short edges, also finger pressed those. And if you really run your fingernails along the edge, you'll basically
All right, so
Apparently that video didn't load fully. Is that a problem?
do you want me to do the slideshow on my side? Because I can go a little faster with it. I could skip through things. Do you want me to try it?
Give me a second.
Okay.
While we're working on it, why doesn't everybody get up and do 5
What-
jumping jacks?
What does the bag of beans look like?
It's a paper bag.
Okay.
So, Shamrock, is the slideshow? Your
I have it on.
preference?
I have it on my screen ready to go if you want to try it.
Well, let's go ahead and try your screen, and I'll queue it up on mine as a backup.
Okay, we'll do.
I have a question. Is this the bag?
I cannot see it, so can one of the leaders see if,
Yes, go ahead and look in that stuffy marshmallow. Go ahead and open it.
okay. And I basically turned off all of the humans' pictures, so I can't see anyone on there, so I can run the slideshow. Okay, so the way we finger pressed on the bottom edge, I'm gonna move my cursor back and forth on it. You basically made your controlled wrinkle in it. And then you're gonna do the same thing to the left side. And then over here, you're gonna do the same thing to the right side. So you'll have 3 of the 4 edges folded, and just press it down with your fingers and pinch.
Bridge, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know which way the felt goes.
The fabric's gonna be the printed bright side is going to be down, so you'll see the faded part towards you. And
Are
then
we
look,
only using 1 or 2?
we're only doing 1 at the moment. So there should be 6 pieces of fabric, and you'll make 6 different bean bags with that. So if you look at the picture here, where my scroller is, you have 3 sides that are folded. And the next thing I did is I folded the whole thing in half right here. So let me show you the video of that.
The next step is that we're going to use our common pins, and on the sides that are folded over, you're going to take one of your pins and you push it through the material straight down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
The next step is that we're going to take one of your pins and you push it through the material straight down. And you bend it upwards and then push it through the material again. We're going to use all 4 pins. We're going to go down the other edge of this and we're going to push it through. Bend it up and then pierce it through. Keep turning. I'm going to start on this side. Push it through. Move it up. And gently push it through. Make sure you don't stab your finger as you do this. And then if you have any little raw edges popping up, you can kind of fold them in. Last pin. Through. Move it up. Bend it through.
Okay. So all we're doing at that point is getting all of the really rough tattered edges with the strings kind of tucked in. While people are getting that ready, I'm just going to show you how to find the edge of the spool of thread. It's hard to see it, but right here where my scroller is, there's a little notch cut in this spool on the side, and the thread goes underneath the label. So if you can look at your spools of thread and find the notch that's cut, it could be on either side, but look on the side that's got this, well, actually the tag's the same on both sides. Just find the little notch and then peel back the label.
Shamrock, can I share it from my screen so the video is less choppy?
Yes.
Great,
Next,
thank
we're gonna
you.
get our
So please cancel your screen share.
Got it. All right, are you good?
Yep.
What do I do next?
I will also say that if you run your fingers around the top of the ridge, sometimes you can find the notch that way too.
Wait, if you do this.
That's great. Thank you, Kit Kat. I mean, not Kit Kat,
Yes, it
Dixie.
Yes. And on the other side.
And on the other side too. Then folded it.
Next, we're going to get our thread out. So when you look at your spool of thread, which is in your small parts bag, on the sticker at the top, most likely, there's a little notch. It's hard to see on my white thread because it's a white spool. But if you lift the sticker a little bit, you'll be able to see the end of the thread and pull it off.
Okay.
All right, play the next one.
Yes.
Now we want to make sure that we have a piece of thread that is going to be a good workable length for us. A good rule to go by so that it doesn't get terribly knotted is that if it's 2 lengths of your arm from your wrist to the inside of your elbow. So I take the thread, I'll grab the end of it, and I will go up to my elbow one time and I let go, and then I go grab a little more and I go up to my inside of my elbow the second time, and I'm going to cut it right about here. And that way you'll have a good length to work with.
As a note to that, if your thread is super long and it's longer than it's so much longer than your arms, it's going to get really cumbersome for you to keep doing this. So that's why if you measure it against your body, you're giving a good thread length for you, because what I would use, and maybe what Stuffy Marshmallow would use, or Rainbow Raina, we're going to have different length arms. All right, next slide, please.
All right, we're going to get one of our sewing needles out, and be careful with these because they're very hard to see once they're dropped on the floor, and you don't want any pets or humans to hurt their feet on these needles. So what I normally do is I will take the end of my thread, and if it's looking really fuzzy, I might cut it off with my scissors, or maybe get it a little wet. I'll just stick it in my mouth and pull it out. Not the most hygienic thing probably to do during Corona, but these are your bean bags and you're going to use them. So you're going to basically thread the end through the eye of the needle. And it might take a few times. Once it pokes through a little bit, grab it with your fingers, and there you go. If you have a really hard time with this, this would be a good thing to go ask your adult for help with. Once it is through, you're going to pull a bit of a tail through. You'll have one really long end and one shorter end.
Okay. So the next part is going to show you how to do a
Okay,
French
now we need to knot the end of.
This will take a little practice. This might take you a little practice to get, but this is a cool trick.
String. So you have your short end here and your long tail. So what I like to do is a French knot. So I'm pulling the long end of my thread. I'm going to stick my finger out like this, and you see how the thread lines up with it. I'm going to pinch it. Then I take my needle and I'm going to put the sharp side up right there. Now I'm going to pinch that needle. I'm going to take the long working end of my thread and I'm going to go around the needle 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull it down, and then at the very tippity top of the thread, I'm putting my thumbnail there, not on the sharp part, but just below it. And I'm going to push the needle up, wiggle it through. I'm going to continue to pinch, and I'm going to let the thread slide through. I have to give it a little bit of a wiggle to get it through. Now I'm going to pull and try to basically keep the other thread from getting knotted up as it goes through. Pull, 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 pull. And then you have a French knot at the end.
Nobody, I'm gonna try to dial in on my phone audio. I'll keep talking while we do that. So I'm gonna give by a show of hands, just show us if you're actually doing your needle threading now, or if you're I have a yes or a and or question. So if the first one will be, if you're working on your needle threading now, give a thumbs up. If you're just watching the video and so you can absorb the information and then you'll try to do the sewing later, give us a sideways thumb, because I want to see how many people we're waiting on so that we can give you a minute to catch up.
We have many thumbs up. Bridge, did you have a question?
Yes. Could you replay the video for the French knot?
I think that'd be a good idea because that's probably one of the hardest parts of this.
I see Ladybug thumbs up. We have a lot of, mostly thumbs up.
Because I
Awesome.
just got it through the needle.
Followed by pound.
Okay, now we need to knot the end of your string. So you have your short end here and your long tail. So what I like to do is a French knot. So I'm pulling the long end of my thread. I'm going to stick my finger out like this, and you see how the thread lines up with it. I'm going to pinch it. Then I take my needle and I'm going to put the sharp side up right there. Now I'm going to pinch that needle. I'm going to take the long working end of my thread and I'm going to go around the needle 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull it down, and then at the very tippity top of the thread, I'm putting my thumbnail there, not on the sharp part, but just below it. And I'm going to push the needle up, wiggle it through. I'm going to continue to pinch, and I'm going to let the thread slide through. I have to give it a little bit of a wiggle to get it through. Now I'm going to pull and try to basically keep the other thread from getting knotted up as it goes through. Pull, 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 pull. And then you have a French knot at the end. Okay. So can you hear me all right? Nobody, now that I'm on the phone? Okay,
Yes.
excellent. So when you have that much done, then give us a thumbs up so we can be aware of our time. We've got about 15 minutes. And I'd like to at least get you started on the actual sewing part of it.
We have
I see
Rainbow,
Rainbow,
Cotton Candy, thumbs up. Looks like everybody else is furiously sewing.
I see Dill with a thumbs up.
Open Beaker had thumbs up.
Oh, and Sunshine's got a thumbs up. And a big smile. Oh, Cotton Candy's thumbs
Wildflower,
up.
thumbs up. Wildflower. Open Beaker, do you have a question?
Is only one side supposed to be tied?
Yes, good question. Yes, so the side that has the knot on it, I'm going to show you how to put that on the inside of the beanbag so that you don't need to look at it. It will be hidden and it'll be secure. All right, so if you think we're ready, let's move on to the next video so you can see how we're going to bury the knot in the beanbag.
Where you start sewing is going to depend on whether you're a right-handed person or a left-handed person. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm holding the work in my left. If I were a left-handed person, I would turn it, and here's our folded seam, and I would go this direction. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle, and you see how there's this nice little gap in there? I'm gonna pierce it through. That's coming out the end, and I'm going to pull it in there. Oops, I got a little bit of my tablecloth in there.
And we're going to start on the side closest
All right, so
to
the knot will
fold.
be hidden on the inside, and then I take this little piece of the tail and I tuck it in there.
And campers, we're going to end up sewing along two sides so that you have one side that's already closed.
All right, next thing I'm going to do.
Oh, I didn't know the video was so good. But we're going to leave one side. It needs to stay open so you can actually put your beans in it. So, okay, go ahead.
Shamrock, I am a little bit wonky and I want to make sure I'm sharing the correct video.
Okay.
There you go. Is this the one we're on?
I think so. I think it stopped in the middle.
Oh, it didn't stop in the middle.
Oh, okay. That was the end of that
All
one.
right, next thing I'm going to do is
Is the correct video?
Yeah.
I'm going to catch on to the edge of the material furthest away from me. And then I'm going to poke through the material closer to me and push. And then make sure your thread's straight before it goes through and pull. And if you have to help the thread stay straight down here, so I like to put a little pressure on the thread, the length that I'm pulling through, because you see how it keeps it nice and straight here, and just straighten it out. And then that's your first one. All right, so what you're going to do is we're going to continue to go all around this edge, and make sure you have, my thread almost fell out of my needle, so make sure you have enough of a tail on the needle part so that it doesn't fall out of your needle, because because it's really hard when you have to keep rethreading your needle. All right, let me do a close-up again so you can see how the stitches are going. Okay, so I'm to where this pin is. I'm going to take this pin out and I'm going to reposition it a little further down and get it out of my way. Be careful not to poke yourself with it.
Shamrock, can I go on to the next one?
It'll stop?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was still going. So glitchy that it stopped a little bit. I apologize if I didn't see that it was done. Yes, go ahead.
I'm starting to approach my corner.
Whoops. Where'd it go? I think the spotlight stopped.
The screen share stopped. I'm having a hard time moving each thing forward and sharing. I haven't figured out all the right buttons to push.
I'm starting to approach my corner. As I've worked, I took a couple of the pins out and I promptly put them back into the card they came in, and that way I can keep track of them. So we are going to continue as we get to the corner, and what I do a lot of times is I will take my needle and I kind of just push down these little corners that are popping out because I want them to be on the inside of the project if I can. It does not need to be perfect. These are just going to be toys for when you're ready to use them with your cornhole. So continue to pierce through both pieces of material. That's what you call it when you're going through with a needle, is you're piercing it. Try to keep your fingers out of the way. But every person I know who sews, every once in a while you might poke yourself, and it's really not that big of a deal. Just make sure if you do that you go get a Band-Aid. You have your first aid kits, but the whole point, no pun intended on the whole point, but the whole idea is that we do this safely. So as I go around the corner, I want to make sure I go right through the corner. And then I simply turn the material, and then I'm going to continue all the way along this edge. And when I get to the raw edge, the part that where you see the thread sticking out of, then we are going to stop and fill our bag with beans.
All right, I think we should just kind of...
I've been sewing for a little while, and my thread started to do this. It twirls around itself. So what I will do for that is I'm going to hold this up in the air, and I will have my needle held over, and I'm just going to let it untwirl itself. And then it should be a little bit easier, and then sometimes I will even pull on the thread and help it untwist itself. So that should help you with that.
Okay. Yes,
I've arrived at my edge, my corner, and what I'll end up doing is going through one last time. Now, but I want to knot it this time. So I'm going to pull on the thread. I'm going to straighten that out first. Pull on the thread, pull till it's almost all of the way through. Then I'm going to go through the loop that's there and pull down tightly. I usually knot things 2 times just because I feel that they're more secure that way. Pull in the thread. I have a loop left. Go through the loop and pull tightly. At this point, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully snip off my thread. And then I have a couple of really long strings here too that I don't want to deal with anymore. They're getting in my way. And then now we are ready to fill our bag with beans.
Okay.
All right, campers, so in your mailing box, you have a paper bag that is taped closed. This has pinto beans in it. So I want you to take the tape off, and you can actually leave it on the edge there. If you want, you can reseal. And basically you have beans in here. You have more probably than you're going to need.
Yes, and that one cuts off funny. It's okay.
Fold over a little on the top, fold over on each edge, and then you can see that once again the raw edge is going to be folded down and it's going to be stuffed on the inside. That way, when we start to sew, we will only see the nice edge of the fabric. All right, so now I'm going to load my beans in. And don't feel like you have to have them completely bursting with beans. You have more beans than you're going to need. At least I believe you do. I measured them out. So that's probably pretty good.
Okay.
To get a little closer as I'm gonna make this close up. So fold down the raw edge and then make the folded tops meet up. All right, you're going to take your pins again. You have all sorts of colors in yours. But, and you're going to push it through both layers of fabric. Then you're going to make it dive back down again and out.
Shamrock, how many beans do they put in a bag?
And I'm going to do 3 on the top of this to make.
Pause for a second, Cindy. So I didn't count them. I'm not that exact on it. If at the beginning of this section of the video, it was a little bit below where the top of the fold was. And then that, because if you overstuff them, it's going to be, first of all, hard to pin them, and it'll be a little bit more difficult to sew as well. So just get them, 4/5 of the way full, just so you have a little room at the top to fold it over.
How many bean bags are they making?
They're making 6 bean bags.
So they can divide their beans by 6.
They could do that, yes, but I have a feeling they'll probably have more beans than they can fit in their bean bags.
Gotcha.
I was generous.
Simba?
We good to go?
As easy as possible.
When you're putting the pins in with the beans, you might have to wiggle the pins around the beans. So, all right, go ahead.
To hold this stuffed bag closed. And I pull it out a little bit to get the material taut. Nice and tight. Okay. If you need more thread on your needle, this would be a good time to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that knot again. I have, I think, enough thread to just sew this one last edge.
So I'm wondering if we skip the next slide because that's just showing the knot that we've already shown twice. How are people doing? It looks like people are hard at work.
Everybody
Let's see how-
and Steve Bone said that their beanbag fit 45 beans. So maybe that was helpful to somebody else.
That's fabulous. So we are at the point that remember my expectations at the beginning of this is that we were going to get a start on our beanbag, on our first beanbag, and that you would most likely have to go back on and look at the video on YouTube. We are at that point where that's what we're going to have to do. But what I will say to you is that when you're sewing the top part of your beanbag closed, it's the same type of knot that we did when we finished sewing the first two sides. So you just loop it through a couple of times. And there's a little trick on the video where you can bury your end of your thread within the beanbag so that won't be hanging out and flopping around. If you forget to do that, you can just snip it close with your scissors. So do we have any questions before our session ends?
Bridge had one. Bridge has finished. Bridge, can you show us again?
I would love to see that.
And then we can
Nice
watch the last
job.
video together. Thanks, Bridge. That's fantastic. Great sewing.
Beautiful.
All right, let's go back to the last video because it's very short.
We arrived at the end, so I'm going to go through one or two more times. And then I'm going to go through the loop and pull. Through the loop and pull. Now here's the tricky part. We're going to bury your end inside of your project so that way you won't have this weird loose thread end. So find a space really close to where your last stitch was and wiggle your needle through, and don't lose the needle, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to have the needle peek out of here, pull it out, and then you see how when I pull it this side comes in. We're going to pull and not too close to the fabric, snip your end. And then you can pull that back out, and then your end of your thread is buried. So that is your beanbag.
So campers, one other thing that you can do is if you want to play with your cornhole game, but you don't have your beanbags done yet, you could use quarters, or if you find something else around the house that's kind of a small size, maybe well, actually, quarters would work really well. Or you could end up making some bean bags out of duct tape if you need more than what we gave you.
Little
The
kid
other
socks.
thing,
Yeah, I was gonna say rolled up
Say again?
socks.
Rolled socks.
well, my socks are so big they wouldn't go through the hole probably, but very little kid socks would. The other thing is that I sent over cornhole rules to nobody, and I know our directorial team's going to get those on probably the Facebook page. And typical cornhole actually has 4 seems like a lot. So I hope you have a great time with us.
Yeah.
And maybe add some artwork.
Can all of the humans please show us your whatever you've built or whatever you've sewn?
I finished.
Good job,
Ooh,
Mom.
look at that.
All these creatures will
Oh.
make this and
What are you doing your craft? Ready? Big smiles. Cheese.
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 Nice. Whoa, look at Ladybug. Good job.
Big smiles.
Cotton
Cheese.
candy. Awesome.
All right, we're good. Thank you, campers. All right, I'll see you at our next class. At our next class is 1 Pacific.
Sounds good. Have a good lunch, everybody. You and all the other
Bye.
humans. Bye.